What is going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Hopefully that first week of Solstice is off to a banger start for y'all. Super fun for me, loving the changes. Y'all have to let me know what y'all think of them so far, and we got a super fun build for y'all to take into these activities for our Solar 3.0 Titan, the ultimate support character with those sunspots. So this build is very special in the fact that it is a heavy support for your fellow Guardians with our exotic heavy in Galahorn, giving everybody Wolfpack, as well as our exotic boots that we have on, the Phoenix Cradles, which help us spread Sol Invictus, one of our aspects right here. When our fellow Guardians step through our sunspots, they get Restoration, which gives them back health, as well as it procs Sol Invictus for them as well. So for our subclass, we're going to be running our Hammer of Sol with the abilities Towering Barricade, Strafe Lift with our Throwing Hammer that'll apply Cure, as well as Ember of Benevolence for us, and then this will create Sunspots as well as Firebolt Grenades, super fast charge time. With that spread and attack, they drop those solar sunspots, and we have 100 discipline on for those grenades to recharge even faster. For our aspects, we're going to have Roaring Flame, so those solar ability and ignition damage increases up to stacking ×3, which we will be getting quite easily with our hammers and how fast we'll be getting our grenade back. And then Sol Invictus, super important for this. So those sunspots that we create, our abilities regenerate faster and our super drains more slowly while in the sunspot. This is caused by that Sol Invictus, which is super nice that we're spreading this to our allies and giving them restoration, so they get their health back, they get their abilities back, and if they're in their super, it drains more slowly when they're inside of those sunspots. So this is kind of crazy that the exotic boots allow this to proc for other Guardians, not just yourself, and we're going to be creating sunspots everywhere. For our fragments that we have on this build, we're going to have Ember of Torches for Radiant based on our powered melee attack with that throwing hammer. Super important for our next fragment here, which is Ember of Benevolence, so applying that restoration, cure, or radiant. So we're going to get that with people walking through our sunspots, since our boots allow them to get restoration from Sol Invictus procced based on those sunspots. We're going to get restoration through that. So Ember of Benevolence is going to proc, as well as when we are radiant and become radiant when we throw that throwing hammer near allies and get a powered melee attack. So this is super important for this build because it'll give us increased melee, grenade, and class ability regeneration for a short time, allowing us to create more sunspots via our abilities with that faster regen. Next, we're going to have Ember of Eruption, so our ignitions that we're going to be getting via the Scorch from our sunspots, our grenade, as well as our Callus mini tool have that increased AoE. And then finally, Ember of Char, so our solar ignitions spread Scorch to the targets. This just helped us with that 10 discipline, and it helps spread extra Scorch for us. So once again, creating more ignitions, which have a larger AoE, and then just creating more and more sunspots via those Scorch targets being defeated right here, as well as our solar abilities. So these proc very well to give a lot of sunspots, allowing Sol Invictus to be procced via our Phoenix Cradle for all of our fellow Guardians. For our weapons right here on this build, we're going to go with the Feltardiddle Bow. Got this one crafted not long ago with stats for all and explosive. This is probably what I'll craft with those enhanced perks as well. Love this for a kinetic bow. Super important for this build, Callus mini tool with incandescent to spread that Scorch again. I know that this is super popular this season, just like Funnel Web was back in Void 3.0, but this is super essential for spreading that Scorch around, creating those sunspots. And then, like I said, we're going to be throwing on Galahorn to give people Wolfpack rounds, since this is going to be the ultimate solar support character right here. Moving on to our armor mods, which really make this build what it is because of those exotic boots that we have on. But first off, for our mods, we're going to go with Rocket Ammo Finder so we can keep that Gallahorn procced and full of ammo at all time with melee well makers. So when we get those defeats with our throwing hammer, we will be creating solar elemental wells, which we pick up, and those grant a little bit of energy to our lowest ability, and we'll be using it to get our grenade back as well. Next off on our arms here, we're going to have Impact Induction and Bountiful Wells. So Impact Induction causing damage with our melee. So with that throwing hammer will give us grenade energy, or it reduces the cooldown so we get them back faster. And then Bountiful Wells, it allows us to stack 2 melee well makers, so we will create more elemental wells, those solar elemental wells on melee defeats, because we're going to have 2 sets of melee well maker based on Bountiful Wells here. Now on our chest piece, we're going to have rocket launcher reserves, so we can have 9 in our Gallahorn to spread that wolf pack around super easy to our allies, and then well of ordnance, so when we pick up those solar elemental wells from our melee defeats and melee well maker, we are going to proc well of ordnance, which gives us back our grenade energy even faster, allowing us to once again create those solar sunspots very easily with being able to spam that firebolt grenade and our throwing hammer like it's no one's business. Now, what makes this build so support type, in my personal opinion, one of the best out there, been running this a lot in my 6-man, 3-man activities, so people can have those Sol Invictus proc and restoration very easily just by walking through my sunspots. As you can see, that is what our armor perk is, so Sol Invictus lasts twice as long for us, and allies who pass through our sunspots are granted Sol Invictus and Solar Restoration. Absolutely crazy in my opinion that they get both of those, because we know Solar Restoration is pretty broken and giving us our health back super fast in PvE. Now for our mods we have on this, we're going to have Absolution, so when we get Orbs of Power to proc via those super defeats and what have you, and with our allies creating them, we will get our abilities to cool down even faster, again allowing us to spam grenades and our throwing hammer to create those solar elemental wells, as well as those sunspots. And then like I said, our second melee well maker that we have on here, and then our first one was on our helmet, so we can have 2 of those via Bountiful Wells to create more of those solar elemental wells when we get those melee defeats. Last but not least, on our class item here, Classy Restoration for us. When we throw down our shield, we get that restoration to proc with that, as well as inside of our own sunspots, which is super nice, and then elemental light to create more elemental wells of the solar type when we get defeats with our super, which will create solar elemental wells, Orbs of Power, and sunspots. So Hammer of Soul is super nice for this build, creating all of those at once. As you can see, very easy to go through the nightmare containment at the beginning, and here creating all of those sunspots for everybody. And every so often on the left hand side you can see that Ember of Benevolence proc, and that's from me throwing that hammer, making us radiant, me and my fellow guardians. That is how we get that to proc, as well as people just walking through my sunspots getting restoration, which in turn procs that Ember of Benevolence, which gives us back our abilities faster. Just a nice positive feedback loop, allowing us to spam abilities, create sunspots for us and our fellow guardians, which in turn allows us to get abilities back faster, gives them health, allowing us to once again just start that process over. Absolutely love this build, like I said, for support in the game right now. 6's nightmare containment, anything like that. Even taking this in a raid is super nice with Solar 3.0. Just switch up the guns a little bit if you would like. But Gallahorn, king of DPS, king of support when other people are on rockets, since it gives out Wolfpack rounds to other rockets. It is absolutely gnarly. And then the Phoenix Cradle are giving our allies Sol Invictus as well as restoration. So sunspots everywhere. Call this the support build of the century easily. Definitely y'all give this a try out. These exotic boots are super sweet for that support role. Like I said, going in with your team, absolutely love it. Always been the healer of the group, that kind of thing. So this build made for me. So thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoy this build. Hopefully Solstice is banging for y'all. We're gonna have some nice Solstice videos coming out here soon, so be on the lookout for those. Thank y'all again so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.